who was the anomaly as far as I'm concerned. However, this one has about as high potential for the Priest to come out on top as I could possibly imagine, because Swidz has a double Ogremancer tech to go to, and because Blize does not have significant techs to go to in his secondary or tertiary. So I do really feel like this particular matchup is set up on a razor's edge.
Yeah, and we're going to dive straight into it. Remember, this is semi-final number 1 today. The winner will go through to the final and then get at least 4 points for the week, which is, of course, a huge, huge deal. Swidz off to not the best start, I would say, versus Mage with that opening mulligan, so he is going to throw most of it away and, wow, get rewarded, at least in my opinion, Sot.
It's a good-looking opener, yeah. Tempo start with the Mankrik and the Venomous Scorpion is certainly what he'll be looking for. If he can pick up a Raise Dead along the way, with the extra shot he gets from the Venomous Scorpion as well, that can put on a lot of pressure with multiple Mankriks and multiple Ogres going into the deck.
And I don't know why, but honestly, just after this weekend, I'm obsessed with just saying Crimson Hothead is the correct pick versus Mage. It'll come down early enough. It's got 6 health, so can't even be cleanly Apexis blasted. Even if it comes down later, it just looks like the best option to me. At least out of these 3.
For Brightwing, honestly, you can just play it on 2 and then fill out your curve from that point. Just Brightwing on 2, Mankrik on 3, go from there. But yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. Crimson Hothead has certainly seemed to do some work. I think specifically because it's Swidz that's been the player that's been getting juice out of Crimson Hothead. It's no great surprise to see him going to that well once more.
And interestingly enough here, what 3-drop do you like? Because you could make arguments for all 3 quite easily, but which one takes your fancy here?
The largest one. Okay. Yeah, I like just dropping down Crimson Hothead here. I think also, this is the follow-up, right? Not only is this the biggest, it seems like this is the one you would not want to get Devolving Missiled, right? Because it's the biggest. But actually, weirdly enough, it's the one that you don't care about Raise Deading. So actually, generally, the first big minion that you play as Priest is going to get Devolving Missiled against Mage, because it's just what they want to do. So Crimson Hothead, who cares? Now we can land Mankrik. Mankrik will actually die, and then Mankrik goes in the Raise Dead pool, which is fantastic for actually being able to pressure the Mage, which is something that you really do need to be doing as Priest.
And already Blize, in response to this, has a great minion start. Honestly, these are some of the best font of powers I've seen in a while. When I've been playing Mage today, I'm getting all the trash. Blize has stolen all the good ones.
I do enjoy the way people arbitrarily modify Hearthstone card names. Like you said Apexis Blasted earlier, then it was fonts of powers. You pluralized it in both places possible. I don't know, it just always interests me.
Well, I'm glad I'm interested in Soul.
It's like strongman, right? Some people say strongmen, some people say strongmans.
Right. Look, at least I don't say
that amuses me, but it does.
Onto the board.
You have to listen to me. So unlucky.
Go back muting subtle.
Yep.
Yeah, the double brain freeze is going to clean off this pretty terrifying Phoenix right now for Blize. And Blize, like I said, the font singular of singular power singular, I guess, is working really well, because suddenly Blize is developed a small minion board that you don't normally get to do with this deck. So now he can leverage those brain freezes to just keep pushing more and more damage, and this damage is worth so much because you never really have it against Priest.
Class dismissed. Now time for the real lesson.
Filth. Okay, needs to clear up before attacking the 3-4. Yeah, decent outcome. Good.
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
But I'm just going to get the spell damage from Solarian no-go for that Apexis Blast. Singular. And going to push some damage here. 5-5 on the board now. Not too bad. And Swidz just... He's going to be able to clear this with Hysteria, but it's not over yet. This game has gone very fast.
It's so much early game damage because the minion's stuck, right? And that's generally not something that you mulligan to stop as Priest, right? You're not keeping Holy Smite, Condemn, all these answers to early game boards. You're trying to keep things that allow you to counter pressure and be able to swing back the other way. So when you do get caught by that perfect font of power start, you can get beaten up pretty effectively.
Planets and stars!
Interesting that Blize has spent so long without wanting to cash out his free Incanters flow here by just playing Trick Totem out the board, but apparently he just isn't interested.
I was wondering who was going to make that joke first, because I was tempted, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Here though, Scorpid coming down here from Swidz, now has double power word fortitude, so can make this very large. The problem is, I guess the benefit of it being big is if everything survives, he can then put Apotheosis on it, but it is scary right now for Swidz, because if he does that, even the Devouring Plague only heals for 1.
Yeah, which is why I kind of like using the more, the more expensive Fortitude, and then just use the Holy Smite instead and hold on to the Devouring Plague for a bit more juice later on. There is the flow. That's the card drawn off the spell, off the Star Scryer, sorry.
Oh, there's a Fireball.
Fireball, Primordial Studies. It means Apo's gonna land though, as far as we can see. No way to deny that.
Oh, are you sure?
Some way to deny that. Oh! Oh, so close. So close, yeah, and Blize knows it.
Oh, that is just funny.
You can't help but like feel that way as a Hearthstone player, right? It's totally unjustified, but Blize is just like, oh, I'm so unlucky. If only one of my like 3 possible outs from all the spells in Hearthstone that could have been cast had also won a 50-50. I'm so unlucky.
I agree. 9 attack going to come down now for Swidz and taking no risks, killing off the totem.
Needs outs. He needs exactly his second evolving missiles here. There it is, straight off the top. And now, as long as this goes right at least once, and yeah, I think it's very smart from Blize to absolutely guarantee it, because I think as long as this happens, he is back in a fantastic position now in this game.
Yeah, what a quick recovery there from potential disaster. He now also has that ring toss active, or corrupted, I guess I should say, which means that he can start to provide Swidz with pressure in a different way than just damage, right? He can potentially make Swidz have to think about Netherwind. He could go for that, Rigged Fair Game, that's the card I was thinking of. He has options of where he wants to push these secrets, and honestly, any secrets will make Swidz have to consider them here.
It's actually picking Raise Dead over Renew there, which is a very interesting pick, but I think quite rightly understanding the situation in that he needs minions to get on the board, right? Minions heal you against Mage because they soak up Mask of Cthulhu damage, and they function as counter pressure, which can sometimes force your opponent to shoot fireballs or Apexis Blast at them, to play around Apotheosis, to protect their own health total. So even though he essentially net lost 6 health there by casting Raise Dead instead of Renew, I think it's still the right decision to just get the minions down in play.
Yeah, I agree. Just get all the health on board as much as you can.
Oh, Combustion's huge.
Yeah, by having the Combustion, he can now get rid of a lot of health off board to make this Mask of Cthulhu much, much stronger.
Right. Yeah, I like it.
And again, one of the reasons I was talking about Combustion earlier, if Blize changes lists, he won't have access to it going forward. And look at the work Combustion's done just in this one game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what Maker could be incredibly clutch here for Swidz. Looking for a flash heal or a Renew, doesn't hit it. Devouring Plague will still do some work here, though. Pulls him out of lethal range just based on what we can see from Blize.
Either way, you can start with Draconic Studies no matter what, right?
I must consider.
You've got me fired up.
He's holding off, okay. Guess he didn't want the discount to be on the dragon that he plays this turn. He can just use the discount for next turn now.
Right.
Oh, Spring Water.
So huge. Oh, 2 mana Ring Toss, 1 mana AI. Mask! Oh. Prime just play.
Oh, Insta Slam!
Oh, Insta Prime.
Oh, the Flame Strike. Insane. The fonts of the powers.
Oh, and a rigged fair game just to top it all off. Absolutely insane. I was about to say it's worth making the point that I don't think Prime is quite the card that it used to be, just based on the current pool of Mage spells, but that looked like an old school Prime to me, Raven. That did absolutely everything that Blize needed it to do. Oh! Oh, felt that. Felt that. Deep in my bones. Well played indeed.
We'll cut right to the chase.
Yeah, that was never really gonna save the day. I guess Deathwing would have given him his best chance, right, if he'd got it then?
Yeah. Very fair.
The waters.
You have been.
Nah, it's not going to be enough. Can't afford the mana for a dragon that was going to be relevant there. Blize is going to take game number 1. Wow, it did look dicey for him when that Scorpid lived. The Apotheosis came down, but digging through the deck, something that the Mage right now excels at, I would say. It's actually one of the just, maybe even arguably the heaviest card draw class in the game right now. Maybe, you know, you can argue about Rogue, whether that gets it done more consistently, but still, draws through so much of the deck that getting towards a devolving missiles doesn't seem too hard.
Yeah, and I certainly would argue for Rogue. I think Rogue draws cards ridiculously quickly at this point,
Right,
regardless of
second then, jeez.
yeah. Regardless of which version of Rogue you're playing as well. Like even if you're playing Weapon Rogue, you draw your deck on turn 9 a lot of the time. But I think that Flame Strike play that you just saw was probably the clutch point to victory. You know, it's not a big thing. Blize does not lose the game often if he doesn't remove the other minion first, but he does lose the game when he loses 3 50-50s in a row, right? Which is it happens. And that is an opportunity that you can remove. It's, you know, it's something that you do have to kind of mitigate when you're playing a deck that has so many, you know, random effects in it, so many missile effects, like, you know, Master Cthulhu, devolving missiles, all these things, is sometimes you're in a position where you're so comfortable that you can afford to play around the disaster. And I think I said, leading into that turn, if Blize can pick up devolving missiles, I think he's still in a fantastic spot this turn. And I think Blize recognized that was absolutely the case as well, played around the disaster outcome, and as you just saw, he has been playing Mage every single week of Grandmasters so far, so it is no great surprise that he is intimately comfortable with some of these decisions. You know, nonetheless, to talk about his last season's performance as well, which I kind of shone a light on yesterday, where he was just absolutely jamming these ridiculously complicated turns with the Cyclone Mage of old. And he looks very happy with the hand that he's picked up here, and you can see why. Incanter's Flow, far left, Raven.
Yeah, good start. Does have double mask in hand, which is not great, but I just want to put out the old announcement here that Swidz, of course, gone to his tertiary, which is double Ogremancer, and Blize actually going to that secondary, as you can see with the counterspell in hand. So both players have moved across to a different build of their primary deck that they've gone with here. So we'll see how it pays off, because yes, Blize has the Incanters, which is huge, but the rest of his hand kind of sucks right now.
Steaming Garbaggio right now, Raven. Yeah, he's going to need something a little bit better to do than this. And Swidz has a very, very strong tempo start. This is exactly what he wants to be doing. This is Circus Amalgam instead of Hothead, but you can see, I think, the result is going to end up being the same here. Blize is going to give serious thought this turn as to whether he is supposed to 3-mana fireball this minion. And there you go. You've seen Swidz successfully do this twice yesterday against RDU, where he got the mid-range dragon down early and was able to siphon burn out of his opponent's hand.
Also, as well, the pickup of the Ogremancer means that Swidz has a very strong turn 5 play. If we could just line it up to the fact that at the moment, Blize doesn't have anything. He has a secret to play next turn, or a fireball, I guess. You would need, like, what, exactly a Pexis Blast to make Swidz have to think about this Ogremancer instead of just insta-slamming it?
Yeah, agreed. Oof. That was not the draw.
No, not a huge surprise here. Just see the Ogremancer come down. Blize now has his work. Oh, Apexis a turn too late to an extent.
Yeah, one card off for sure. You've got to start thinking now, like, what were these cards in his original version of the deck? And you'd be looking at, combustions, I guess, as Raven has been talking about, which I don't think really would have served a much greater purpose in the position that he was in. He just needs to be hitting card draw at this point of the game. It's card draw or bust, really. Nothing else is super relevant at this point.
Yeah, I think to keep it very simple, there's 2 massive Cthulhu in Blize's opening hand, right?
Yes.
Like that. You don't look at anything else right now. Those are the 2 problem cards.
Yep, for sure.
Swidz has all the support for this Ogremancer too, with these reduced cards due to the palm reading the turn before as well. Does have this renew for 0. Could even just go for Flash Heal as well. Yeah, I like this.
Raised Dead, always a bit awkward when you're playing Ogremancer, when you have already played Ogremancer. Obviously, first instinct, wow, this is sick, I could get another Ogremancer back. Rarely works out that way, though, because generally you will have summoned a few risen skeletons by that point and just be getting back some 2/2 taunts in your hand.
This is where the real big brain play is for Blize to spam tons of spells and keep killing 2/2s to just ruin the Resurrect pool.
Genius, Raven. The level of play that only you think of.
Exactly, yeah.
No, he's evolving. He's taken clearly sarcastic insults as a compliment. He's becoming too dumb to insult. No!
But the real trick is when someone says something like that to you, you just say thank you.
Yeah.
And then there's no other continuance of that conversation. What are you supposed to say?
Yeah.
Here though, a very early Idol of Yasharaj here. Just a casual 10-10 Sethic for Blize to deal with, and right now he has a whole lot of
Round it all out with the 1 mana Elysium. Alright. Mizaki can certainly make some stuff happen. Mizaki evocation, yeah, sure. Alright. Card draw? Card draw eventually, but is he ever going to be able to defend it with how far behind on board he is right now? He just needed devolving missiles, right?
He does have 2 massive Cthulhu to just get through in the next 2 turns. Maybe that's worth the long shot.
10-10, Raven.
Okay, fine. He has evocation into devolving missiles. There you go.
There you go. That's more like it. Just a Pexus Blast, right? Make a board? Yeah, I kind of like this.
Try and make this a big trade.
1 mana Zephyrus knew what was up. Whew.
Apotheosis.
He's just at 30. Like, he's just been so far ahead this entire game. Surely you don't play Apo here. Like, what is the point of making your 10-10 a 12-13?
They are shinier pants. That's why.
Really?
No, I'm not with you on this. Come in.
Can we not just play like Crimson Hothead? Okay. That's better. That's better. Sure. I like it. Like, I feel like Swidz was in danger that turn of getting carried away by the fact that his 10-10 was a Sethic. Like, the important part of what it was a 10-10. Just, deal with that on this turn, right?
I actually wouldn't have hated it if he'd actually gone for Mind Render that turn. Because he has no cards in hand that deal with this Sethic, right?
Okay. Yeah, no, good point.
He knows he wouldn't be giving any answers to Blize, and then he could just throw away maybe a couple of spells that Blize has in his hand.
This is exactly why I did not want him to play the Apotheosis on that turn, right? Because you're still always 1 devolving missiles away from disaster when you're playing against Mage, right? Which is what happened. So now, by Swidz not just dumping the Apotheosis because he was excited by his Sethic, he still has Blade Master Apotheosis in his hand. He still just has Apotheosis in general in his hand to function as healing if he needs it, which I think he still will this game. Like, I really don't think Blize is in an outside, at a extremely short odds losing position in this game.
I mean, he only really needs 1 turn to just clear this board off and, just progress somehow.
Yes.
And I think with double mask, again, I keep mentioning it, but that is the real problem. Looks like he's going to go for Mizaki and just try and get it to stick. And also just get this spell damage ramp just a tiny bit to get these cramp sessions cooking.
Yeah, his cram sessions
Oh,
are
okay.
fairly filthy right now, it has to be said, yeah. Needs free cards, not those ones. Looking for brain freezes, I imagine, more than anything else. Doesn't get them, though. Okay.
And before everyone shouts, correct order actually from Blize. Didn't want to overdraw if he say he played Primordial Studies first and then gets himself into a mess. So yes, although he didn't maximize spell damage, he did it in the correct order there. But here's that Alusha, and Swidz has a fun turn ahead of him right now.
Yep. Take that, pick the bad one. The bad one might be Blood Mage Thalnus at this point, just because it draws a card and there's only 9 cards left remaining in the deck. Swidz disagrees though. Okay, he's actually just going to play out the minions he's taking. Dump some mana, Spring Water, yep. Everything in the deck is so cheap that he can play basically everything this turn, right? Just keep on going, get this Apexis Blast cast as well.
Finish on Evocation, like.
Yep, finish on Evocation, let it go. Second Spring Water, go, 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 go. It's honestly lethal. I'm pretty sure you could fatigue for 18 this turn and then pass it back. It doesn't work like that. Fatigue's an aura. Yeah. Okay, he's out. He's out.
Yep, don't blame it on that one. Blize did the setup turn, but unfortunately Swidz stole it, and then he had his own fun. And that was a really close game there, at least in terms of it would have continued outside of that Alusha, of course, because Blize was setting up, right? He had the big card draw from Ozaki. Look at what Swidz did that turn and achieved, and realized that Blize could have done it the turn after. But Alusha likes to mess up some games, but again, I do think a lot of it was Blize's opening hand. Yes, Incanter's Flow is great, but if you can't get to card draw after that, the gameplay is very, very slow. And against Priest, I don't think you really want very, very slow.
Yeah, but you are exactly right. If it wasn't for the Mind Render on the other side, Blize would have had an insane turn himself, right? He would have been playing those Primordial Studies. He would have been looking for lab partners and actually super efficient minions, right? Drop them out on the board, drop those 2 Refreshing Spring Waters himself, and then he'd be looking at all of the Brain Freezes to clear the board, all of the masks going face, 1 mana Fireball, 1 mana Apexis Blast, all of this nonsense coming out of the deck, being able to deal damage with additional Incanter's Flows as well. So anything was possible for Blize on the following turn if he actually got to play, but unfortunately his opponent drew Mind Render, so you did not get to play Hearthstone anymore that game.
Yeah, and just checking this out now, both players are still sticking to the decks they played in that previous game. So it is going to be tertiary deck for Swidz, double Ogremancer, just as a reminder, and Blize with those counter spells instead of combustions for his secondary.
Going to see on Blize's side whether he subscribes to the unusual school of thought, I will say, of keep devolving missiles against Priest, but no. He does not. He full mulligans for the Incanter's Flow, which is certainly something I agree with. I think if I already have the Incanter's Flow, I will keep devolving missiles quite happily, but I've even had that argument come from other people. It's like, no, if you have Incanter's Flow, you should mulligan even harder for card draw and still throw away devolving missiles, which is also an argument that I'd be prepared to listen to some more.
Would you be prepared to not listen to it if you knew your opponent played double Ogremancer? Is that worth more keeping hold of devolving?
I think that's certainly a tick in the column of keeping devolving missiles for sure. Yeah.
There we go though. Both players keeping up the pace of play speed right now, just throwing things down, as we are of course used to from Blize's side of the board at least.
Hey, we got a record to break, okay? Like, APAC broke the any % world record for speed of a Hearthstone Grandmasters broadcast.
Oh, I thought you meant for Token Druid performance, but okay.
Token Druid.
Kind of weird turn, because although initially my eyes would be drawn here to Coin to test and then Ogremancer, if Coin is then Netherwind and then it creates a big enough minion, then Ogremancer becomes significantly worse.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think there's enough of a payoff to be testing secrets that turn for exactly the reasons that you described. That coin is always going to be there, right, to be able to test for the counterspell if you need it to, so I think delaying it makes sense. I I think this is a smart play as well from Blize, just guaranteeing he gets a nice chunky 5-5 in play and can then back that up with a Pexis Blast, for example, which sets him up much better against Ogremancer than going the other way around, right? If he'd have ripped the more powerful card, a Pexis Blast, this turn, and then his opponent were to play Ogremancer in response, he doesn't really have any like fast damage from hand that he can add to that to take care of the Ogremancer efficiently, especially if he were to get a small minion like a 3-4 or something off the Apexis Blast.
Yeah, also, remove this from the checklist of activating Ring Toss, right? I think that the more and more I see and play some Spell Mage, the more and more I'm always thinking about, can I activate Ring Toss?
You can't, can you? Swidz? Can you drop a 7 health minion into this? He does. I mean, apparently he can.
Well, he can.
Because he did.
We both know that's allowed.
Yeah.
But is it?
Oh,
No, it's allowed, but is it allowed?
It doesn't seem right. It's the hardest thing in the world as a commentator to call, though, because like I am staring at an Apexis Blast, right? Like, does Swidz have a read on no Apexis Blast from the previous turn because he saw just a 5-drop get played? I would say no for the reasons that I described, because obviously the play that Blize made is just the nuts against Ogremancer. So if I'm making a read from Swidz's side of the board of saying my opponent made the play that would be the nuts against Ogremancer if he has a Pexis Blast in his hand, my instinct is not to play Ogremancer at that point, right. But Blize seemed to disagree.
And although a fantastic outcome from that Apex Blast, just adding up all the spell damage that could happen, Swidz has a very good response, calling use to proc counter spell. He now has double renew with Xyrella, which is huge as it allows him to just wipe away all this board. Such a big without this exact turn, Swidz would just probably be dead.
Yeah, he could have taken Desperate Prayer instead of the Gift of Luminance off the first Discover and then clean the board clean and just kept his own minions as well, because he would have done a little bit of healing on the other side of the board as well to get over the 8 threshold. But, sacrificing a 2-2 for having a Gift of Luminance in your hand is a pretty fair exchange, I would say.
And I'm also thinking about, does he just want to Ogremancer Gift of Luminance and just laugh?
Right, exactly.
Because that seems like a strong play in the near future.
Yep.
Blize now played Sage, drew a ton of cards, and he's starting to fight back again. Does have Devolving Missiles in hand this time, so he is able to an extent, nullify a board from Swidz. He's at the point of needing the old Flame Strike, isn't he?
Far off, yeah. It's one of those boards where the minions... The Ogremancer's are flying, Raven, but it is one of those boards where the minions are just kind of too irritating to launch Devolving Missiles at. There's just too many little things. And now, as you see from Swidz, when he adds an Ogremancer to this, it does start to become a little bit of a problem, just because even here, with Devolving Missiles, another 2-2 taunt gets spawned first, and then there's 3 targets on board for this Devolving Missiles to hit.
He missed?
Yep. There it is. And now with no combustion in the deck, with the taken out for those counter spells, Blize does not even have any way available to him to abuse this positioning. He's in a world of trouble.
He is. And he had to go for it though, right? It's very easy to be like, oh well, haha, I whiffed. But he had to go for that at that point, because if he doesn't, then the next turn's just as bad, if not worse. And then the turn after that, worse again. He does get the Prime though, so we know where this game's going.
Yeah, a few things. Firstly, no, I would stop short of saying he had to do it. I think Fireball Ping the Ogremancer was a legal turn there if he wanted to do it.
Okay.
Just to get away with it. But I think it was a risk worth taking. Secondly, I think this is one of the things that Blize is one of the best players in the world at recognizing that he doesn't really get enough credit for. I feel like just in general, Blize doesn't get enough credit for the results that he has under his belt at this point as a competitive player in just a couple of short years. However, recognizing what his outs are long in advance, right? Like, I think at that point, he played Devolving Missiles, and then he went, okay, massively unfavored now because that Devolving Missiles went wrong. So immediately, he played an Astromancer Solarian, threw it into his deck, and then drew cards after the fact to try and hit the Prime for next turn. That's huge. That's just recognition of an out so early on. It's also a Prime that's juiced with spell damage as well because of the Aegwin effect, so he has the opportunity to really pop off here.
Yeah, and he knows it, right? Fingers crossed there as he knows the whole game plan. I don't think there's any draw in the deck that would change this plan. Here comes Solarian Prime. As you said, it's actually got +3 spell damage to these spells.
All right, good start. Good start. What? Keep going. He's got 4 mana left to spend. He's got 6 mana left to spend.
But the 2 Ogremancers are alive.
What is this? Hang on. Is this good? Is this bad?
3 biscuits and 2 shooting stars.
Has he flowed this game? He hasn't, right?
No.
Something he can go biscuit, 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 cram session for 1,000,000 cards. And then if he hits Spring Water and it was discounted, he could actually potentially get back to Flame Strike. But without Incanter's Flow in his deck, yeah, he's just a little bit short of being able to do anything quite that miraculous. A weird ending to this game, right?
Yeah. I don't know why, but after you saying biscuit so many times, I'm just thinking, can we get a Hearthstone cooking expansion where we just have foods as the cards? I think that would be fantastic.
Nice. Foods as a plural now as well, Raven. You're really
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Of course, inexplicably, because you're priest, you still have to just trade down and you don't have lethal in hand this turn.
The freeze is coming out clutch for Blize. He's going to just concede though. Swidz takes game number 3, and in doing so takes the victory. This is best of 3 here in Specialist Week, and congratulations to Swidz there. That was I think you just correctly pointed out, very weird way to end that game in that series, but I will just echo what you said. I think Blize's recognition of where he is in any given game is insanely fast. I think some players would think about Solarian, but not just instantly switch. It's just the speed, right? It's just he just knows, okay, I've gone beyond the point of no return. I need something else. Go.
Yeah, and I also think it's a mark of just, you know, his extreme comfort as a Hearthstone player, and I guess even as like a performer on camera, I suppose, because I think a lot of people have too much pride to just give up a game to something like that, right? They'll just say, no, I'm not just going to bet the game on having to high roll Solarian Prime. Like, I'm a good Hearthstone player. I'm going to think my way out of this, right? Whereas, no, that's what Blize just did. He thought about it, and then he realized his best chance of winning the game was to high roll Solarian Prime, and he's not ashamed of that. If he thinks it's the right play, he's just going to absolutely go for it, and I do think that is something that I have a lot of respect for his playstyle for.
Yeah, and honestly, you can see straight away, obviously he got 2 very good shooting stars there, which were great with the added spell damage, but he also got like